All right, Todd with Jeep Speed Shop. Here, the topic today is going to be wiring. It's going to be a lot of wiring. So, on everything. So, and it's going to start from '07 Jeep JKs all the way up to, I don't know, 25 Gladiators or JLs. So that's how far we're going with this wiring deal. The questions I get asked constantly, and I get it because it's confusing and can be a little bit hard to sort out this wiring deal. So this is what we're going to do. We're not actually going to wire an engine. We're going to actually show the differences between wiring, the differences between computers, sensors, and then we have an engine here out of it. It's a takeout out of a Dodge Ram truck. I think it's a 22 Dodge Ram truck engine. That it's out of a half ton, and this was out of a two-wheel drive, but we're going to make it a four-wheel drive. So this is a deal where it's like what you guys are doing, I'm going to do. So we got a Jeep behind me that we're going to be putting a Hemi in. Got dropped off to me. Guy was going to do it. He changed his mind. He bought a kit from us. He bought this engine. We got a four-wheel drive transmission. We're going to put all this together and we're going to do a full Hemi install build on how it's done. This is a 12 and newer, so we're going to show how to do 12 and newer. There's a 3.6 in there that is bad, overheated, heads are cracked, whatever. Nag 1, and it's a non-Rubicon 272 transfer case. So, but all that aside, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about wiring, how it works. So I'm going to start off with oil sensors. Okay, this is the oil sensor that would have came on that engine, and this is an oil sensor they used, I think, 15 and newer, maybe 14. This is not white, black generally. This is just for a a sample, just so you can see the connector differences. This one will not work in a JK. So 07 to 18 JK, the sensor will not work. This one will work. So this is the right plug. This is the plug that's on our harnesses. Okay, so this is the one that we need. This is the one we don't need for the JK. All right, we'll come back to this though. This will be used in a JL JT, but not gonna get everybody confused. It's those. All right, knock sensors. This is the one that's the newer style that comes on. Back to that 15 and newer Hemis, right? This is the one we use. This is the one that's in our harness. This is the plug we use. This is the one we don't use. So if you have this one, you're going to need to buy this one. This is the one in our bill of material list, just like the oil sender is also in the bill of material list. This is the one we use, and the J case. Back to the J case again. 07 to 18 J case. All right. This will work in a JL JT, but we'll come to that later. All right. Crank sensors, extremely important. This crank sensor is 12 and older. So I use them from like 09 to 12. This is the crank sensor we use in the Jeep J case from 07 to 18. Without this crank sensor, and you get this from Mopar, it's got the O-ring on it. This is the one you got to use. This is the one that comes in all engines 15 and newer. This is going to be a thing, this 15 and newer thing, because everything changed with Chrysler. You can see the step down. This is the wrong one for a Jeep JK, but JL JT, it will work. And I'll talk about all that in a minute, why and how come and what for, right? So here's one that I get all the time, is the capacitor. All right, why do we need a capacitor? What is a capacitor? Most all these engines have a capacitor. There's one pin in it, all right, and it goes in our harnesses from 07 to 18. Jeep JK needs a capacitor. Almost all Hemis, when you get them used, like the one sitting beside us, comes with it. But this is the capacitor. You need this.
Where does that bolt on?
So on the back of this engine, let's take a little peek here. Hey, look at that. There it is, right there. Here's your capacitor. Comes stock. Some of these have two, so here is another one. This Dodge Ram truck engine had 2. We only need 1. So there's the capacitors. That's where they're usually at. We're putting this one here. So that's the capacitor, all right? Because it's a commonly asked question. And most of these Hemis come with them. They were in about everything, but this is the capacitor. All right. So another big topic. Come over here. We got computers. So here's your computer from that engine. This is a 15 and newer. Could be 14 and newer. I'm not really positive, but 15 and newer. As you can see the differences here. All right. This is the computer we run the 12 and newer J case. All right. As you can see, they're different, physically different. Plug colors are different, way different. This will not work in a Jeep JK. This computer is out of a 12 Challenger. This is the computer we run in all of our 12 to 18 JKs, all right? It does 6, 4, 5, 7, whatever. This is a computer. So people ask me, hey, I got a wiring harness from my engine that I bought in a computer. Well, this ain't gonna work in a Jeep JK. Way too smart, way dumber. We need dumber. So JKs aren't smart. This is too smart. This will not work. So computer number next. This 7 to 11 computer, as you can see, it's got 4 plugs. This one we use for an 8-speed. So the transmission side is empty. All right, it's supposed to be empty. It's the way they are. So obviously you got that 15 engine out of the wrecking yard, came with this computer. It's not gonna work in a Jeep JK at all. From 07 to 18, not gonna work. This computer, they only use this. We use 09 Dodge Ram truck or 09 Challenger. This is 09 Challenger because of the 8-speed. If you had a 545, it'd be an 09 Dodge Ram truck. It's the only computer that will work in our conversions. So remember that. 09 Challenger, missing the transmission plug, which we don't want a transmission controller running an 8-speed because we're using the transmission computer inside the train. Now, if you have a 545, then you need this plug full. Comes in a Dodge Ram truck. It'll have pins in there. It'll have the tranny controller in the computer. That's what you'll need. So, all right. So, touching on these computers, wiring, all right. So, our 8-speed harness. The reason for this 8-speed harness and this module is because the JK is not smart. Dumb computers, smart computer. Can't use a smart computer in a dumb Jeep. Got to use the dumb computer. Well, then this comes in and this dumbs down the 8-speed because the 8-speed is super smart. All this does is for communication. You're not programming this. You're not going to do anything to the transmission. You're not going to change transmission points or anything like that. Only thing this does is so that we can communicate from this computer to the 8-speed because the 8-speed computer is super smart. Ooh, I should have got an 8-speed computer here. So Liz might have one. So
A valve body?
8-speed transmission computer.
A valve body?
Yeah.
You take this.
All right. Okay. So Liz is gonna get a computer. We'll talk about that. So so we got a bunch of wiring here. Not about wiring today. Got a lot of harnesses here to talk about all of this because this is a very complex deal. So Liz just brought over. So this is a 8-speed computer. All right. So 8-speed computer, obviously, we plug it in, right? Oh, I nailed that. Crazy. All right. Goes to the tranny. Communication device, plugs in, POW, right? And then you got your CAN bus wires, which are these purple. Cut that off because we're putting it in a JK, all right? These go to the CAN bus. So then the information from the CAN bus, which is like a river of information, right? If you have a bunch of information that's traveled down wires, they're gonna go down these wires, go through this box, change the speeds from 1,000 miles an hour down to 100 miles an hour so that the Jeep can communicate. So this transmission computer is like super fast, really smart. This thing matches this thing. Smart, smart, dumb, dumb. All right. So it's the reason why we have to do it this way, because yeah, that engine over there has the harness on it. It has everything ready to go, but the Jeep JK is just not smart enough to understand the CAN bus speeds, because this is going 1,000 miles an hour and these are going 100. So the reason why we have to do it this way, to make this all work. And when you ship us this computer, this is how we want it, just the computer, not the whole valve body, so it doesn't get ruined. So that's a lot of JK stuff. All right, so now we're on to the next fun. Now it's going to be, I'll come over here, JTs, JLs. So JT, so we built a couple harnesses now. We've been doing some testing on harnesses. So as you can see,
Hang on,
different color plugs. All right, so these plugs match this computer, right? So brown goes to brown, right? And then white goes to white. Smarter wiring, smarter computer, smarter Jeep. Dumber Jeep, dumber computer, dumber wiring. So that's the reasoning for how this is all working. All right, so this is one of our JT JL harnesses that we're testing. So this is the part that connects to the Jeep. All right, this is the part that goes to the computer. The rest of all of this are the sensors and the connections for the, this is all for a truck Hemi. It'll work for a 6.4 and it'll also work in a 5.7 car, but we're not doing cars right now. So when you're doing a Gladiator and or JL, now these sensors is what we're using. Okay, newer sensors, newer computer, newer harness. So it changes all of it. So the engine, if you buy a newer engine, it already comes with all these connectors, and then everything else is pretty much the same. So here's another harness that we built. I'm not exactly sure who we're going to use or how we're going to do it. This looks more like a harness Liz and I made. So back to the computer, yellow connector. This is the connector that goes to the Jeep side, right? This is only engine. All this is just engine. That's all it does. Just the engine, doesn't go anywhere else, doesn't do anything else, because here we are onto this part. This is the Jeep, our Gladiator's harness. This came out of the Gladiator. This is part of the Gladiator. This part here, Liz is going to follow me. We're going to go this way. We're going to the Gladiator. So here on the Gladiator, that plug right there is this one. This is factory. It's all factory. So this is all for the 8-speed. So this is just a factory 8-speed plug, and it also has the battery cables in it, but that's where this plug goes. That's where it came from. So we're not building on the Gladiator. We're not going to build an 8-speed harness. So no 8-speed harnesses for the Gladiators or the JLs. All right, this one came out of the Gladiator. This one came out of our JL with a turbo 4-banger. We don't need to reuse this either. I mean, we do reuse this one. We don't need to build a harness for that either. We're not really doing any of the 2-liter turbos right now. We're going to stick with the 3.6s, but it's very similar. I mean, it's very similar wire and harness. This is only for the 8-speed. So on all the JTs, all the JLs, we're not building 8-speed harnesses. Only engine. No need to do this. This can stay. So we're not going to redo any of the transmission wiring. Makes it simpler in that respect. So now all we have to do, really simple, right? Sounds simple, is build a harness for the engine. That's all we're doing. And so now we'll touch base on an engine. So here is a perfect candidate. This is how a lot of guys will pull them out. Like I said, this came out of a 22 Dodge Ram truck. Pretty standard. So here's the cool part. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Gladiator and JL part, because this is what we're going to do mostly. All right. You want to save money. You want to put a transmission engine in your Gladiator inexpensively, not necessarily on the cheap, but inexpensively. This is the way you do it. This engine already, no power steering. So the Gladiator doesn't need it. It's got electric power steering. So, and then electric power steering unit would be right here on this engine, and there's nothing over here to be in the way. So it'll fit. Electric power steering will fit. It's already got the belt and all the drive in the front of it for electric steering. All right. We're not going to need the vacuum pump and a lot of all this stuff we don't need, because this is all the hoses from the truck, right? So we're not going to need all this stuff, because this line and this line both went to the transmission intercooler, or heat exchanger. We're not running that. It's in the way of the drive shaft, but that's what these are. We don't need them. This is the oil cooler for the truck. It's not going to work unless you do a 3-link, because the oil filter will hit, so all that has to go. We're not going to run that. But you can see here, that's the right oil sender, all right, that we're going to need for the Gladiator and or JL. So that makes it nice. So oil cooler goes away. All this hose stuff is probably going to go away, and depending on the guy or how he wants to do it. If you want to reuse the JL JT radiator, you might retain some of this stuff, because this is 1 3/4 inch. This is 2 inch. The radiator on the JL JT, that's like, I don't know what that thing is, like really small, 1.5 inches or something like that. So you'll have to neck this down to go into the radiator, but you could go right to the radiator from the JL JT. And so, all right, we'll touch a little bit more on the wiring. So obviously all this wiring on this engine is not going to work in a JL, JT, JK. So wait, because I mean, all these plugs, all right, it goes into a Dodge truck. It's not going to fit in a JK. So all of this stuff, remember back to the yellow plug, that's not going to work in a JK. So this won't work in a JK, and I have no idea where that goes, right? And then here's some more wiring that goes to the truck. So none of this harness is going to work in a Jeep JK, JL, JT. No way. It's made for a Dodge Ram truck. Not going to work for us. So that's why we have to build a harness, because this is not going to work. All this is totally wrong for our application. Plus, I mean, it's got, you know, the 8-speed plug, which we don't need in a JL JT because it already comes with it. So there's so much here that we don't use. That's why everybody says, hey, it comes with wiring. Well, that's nice, because you're throwing it away. We're not using any of this wiring on anything. So no JKs, no JLs, no JTs, none of that. So all of this wiring, it's not going to work. So when you buy a motor and they're going to charge you extra for wiring, tell them to keep it. You don't need the computer either, because you're not going to get the computer to work. You're not going to get a computer to work in a JL, not going to get it to work in a JT or any JK. So no computers, no wiring, none of that's going to work. One other thing to touch on the back here, for the JL JTs on this engine, because it's newer, both exhaust manifolds are pointing down. These will work. So these are the manifolds that we would run for everything, JLs, JTs, JKs, all of them. These manifolds work perfectly. They come on the engine stock. Here's even the lower structural plate. It's still bolted to the engine. So we need that, obviously. But that comes with all the trucks. The reason why none of the stuff's on the back of this, because it had 2-wheel drive tranny, and that's not going to work. 2-wheel drive transmissions cannot be made into 4-wheel drive. So we had to get a 4-wheel drive transmission. So I mean, here's another connector that I get talked to about a lot. This is the short runner valve connector right here. You know, only truck and only 6/4. So, you know, truck, that's the short runner valve. This has a short runner intake, which is great for horsepower, good for low end torque and high end RPM. So great intake manifold, but only in the truck engines and only in the 6/4s. Right here is the MDS and VVT. So you need this for the VVT for sure. If you're going to run MDS, you need that also. And a lot of our computers, we shut it off. It's not going to be shut off in the JLs or the JTs, so it's all going to be working. But that's what this is. It comes out from under the intake manifold. It came factory. It's not something that we sell with our wiring kit. This comes with the motor. When you buy an engine, it comes with that harness. So that's what that is. I'm just identifying that. Let's see what else are here that would be helpful. I mean, a lot of questions are asked, but I think that's about it. I don't know. In the comments, I mean, somebody needs to, if you have a question. Oh, you know, one other thing I can't touch on right here. So here's a fact. So AC compressor. This will not work in a Jeep JK at all. All right, because it has this rear plug. But it will work in a JL and a JT. So we're reusing this compressor in our JL JT swaps. So this compressor is going to be retained in our JL JTs, not in JKs. So no bueno and a JK will work in a JL JT. But if you're running a JL 392, it doesn't have this plug in the bottom, so we're not running that. We're not doing that either. So our main focus, this is my motor I'm going to use for an example for everybody. The truck Hemis are definitely going to make putting a Hemi in a JL and a JT a lot cheaper. So I'm going to estimate, and Liz will probably going to yell at me, because we're doing some trying to figure out the costs. I bet, could be wrong, under $15,000 you could put a Hemi in a JT or a JL. This Hemi, truck Hemi, with an 8-speed, because you need an HP 75, not 70. So 75 tranny, 4-wheel drive truck, 5.7 truck, under 15 grand. This setup, reusing the power steering, electric power steering, reusing the radiator and fan, reusing the air conditioning lines in a JL JT. I think, because we've been doing this now, crunching numbers, I think a guy at home, because I'm not doing it, a guy at home could do this for 15 grand, under 15 grand. Because this engine and transmission, about 5-6 grand. This thing had low miles. So this engine tranny combo would be about 5-6 grand. So then our cost for our kit, it's going to be around 7-ish. That's our goal price, trying to shoot for. So then, yeah, I mean.
So you're saying $5,000 cheaper than a JK, basically, because JKs run 20-25 grand depending on what you get your motor for.
Oh, yeah, right. On a JK, you gotta do a radiator. Yep. You gotta do a fan, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta do power steering. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like
you gotta replace everything.
It's just more costs, more money, right? And then you gotta buy 8-speed wiring kit. But on a JLJT, there's no 8-speed wiring kit. You don't have to buy a radiator. You don't have to buy a fan. You don't have to buy power steering.
But you can, right?
You can.
You can.
You definitely
if
can.
you want to upgrade this
but
thing.
If it's all about money, if you're trying to cut a budget, right? Because we get a lot of guys now that are
We are the budget company.
Yeah, that's it. And you guys are doing this at home because I'm not doing it. So I got a lot of guys calling me right now with cam problems. All the 3.6s are burning cams up, and guys are. So what happens if you burn a cam up? Where's all the metal go? Goes into the motor. Now the motor's got full metal. Now I got rod bearings going out, and it's eating up the engine. So, and then a new engine, guys have been estimating me 7 to 10 grand for a replacement engine. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not buying 3.6s, so I don't care.
I just heard somebody said they cost like $18,000 to replace their engine, their 3.6. You go, why?
Yeah. So then here I'm coming up with an alternative. 5.7 Hemi truck motor, 400 horse, 425 foot-pounds, way stronger, way better. We're going to talk about all that on the JLJT part in the future. We're just trying to make it to where you could put a JLJT 3.6. We're not doing the 2 liters right now. No diesels. So
Never a diesel.
Never a diesel. So haven't figured out the 2-liter part. But 3.6 guys, because they're the ones that I'm targeting, because they're the ones having the problems right now. Putting a V8 in, truck Hemi, on the cheap. I don't know if cheap's the word, but inexpensive. Maybe say it that way. Because everything we're building here, it's all made in the USA. So we're not going to China, having stuff built over there. Everything's built here. We're making it all. We're fabbing it in this shop.
Unless Mopar does.
Well,
their harnesses are built out of the United States.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it right.
That and the computers, those things.
But it's all American made in theory, right? I mean, obviously, the pins are probably not made here and the computers aren't made here, but I don't make that stuff.
Those things. We don't make those things.
No. So
the parts that we make.
Yeah, so motor mounts on our radiators, because we're building all that stuff. So that's, we're touching a little bit here on our JLs and JTs and JKs, because this one here, we're going to do a complete build. As I pull the motor, as we take things apart, I'm going to talk about all the ins and outs, what you got to do, how you got to do it. We're going to do many segments on that. I'm going to break that all up, not one big one. We're going to do like many segments, and then everybody can chime in, wherever I'm at on it. But this engine's going in that blue Jeep, and I'm just using this one because this is how you buy them. When you go buy a used motor, this is how they look. So
actually, this is what the guy bought.
Yeah,
this is what he purchased.
Yeah,
Adam purchased this for his Jeep. And
right.
We're installing it for him.
Yeah. So, but I get a lot of guys calling me, what engine to buy and how, what do they get, and do I need the wiring? Do I reuse the computer? No wiring. We don't reuse any wiring because it doesn't work. And these things have been in wrecks, so the wiring's cut or something screwed up somewhere. So it would be a bad move to reuse wiring in an accident, because obviously something's gotten broke, so you don't know what other wires could have got cut and what other problems. So we got to build a harness new. You know what I mean? Got to build the harness new, and the computers I just touched on why and how come. And I don't hide anything. So everything you want to know, I'll tell you. But this is going to be the best bang for your buck. I think JKs, JTs, and JLs, but we're focusing more on the JTs right now as far as Hemis go. But a JL's the same. We're going to touch on how this goes to make this work and save money. And I don't know what else to add to this, because we'll touch on this more and more, but I think this is about covers it. I think about covered everything I could think of that anybody would ask. My problem is I'm a mechanic. I do this all the time. This stuff just seems simple. You don't want me cooking your dinner because you're going to die, or you don't want me building your house because it's not going to work. I'm not that guy. This is what I do for a living. Been doing this for 45 years, and Jeep Speed Shop now is the longest running Hemi conversion company in the world. So I've been in business since 2000. We put our first Hemi in a Jeep TJ in 05. And I'm still here, still in business, and still doing JKs, no more TJs, still doing JKs. Now we're going to be doing JLs and JTs. So I'm never selling this company. We're not going to move. We're going to keep doing this. It's a small shop. Liz and I do all this stuff. I'm passionate about what I do, and I care. I always care about money. I hate spending money. Gladiator's it's a salvage Jeep, got in an accident. I'm not buying a new one. I don't see it. Everything I own's
a dent and scratch.
Yeah, dent and scratch. So, I don't know. I don't see why I need to buy a new one. I mean, this one works just fine. We were driving with a 6-cylinder. It was fine. Now I'm gonna put a V8 in it, and we're gonna build it. We're gonna throw a bunch of stuff at it and see how it goes. But this is the main things. The whole reason why I own a Gladiator is because of this engine. Because guys are having cam problems in their 3.6s. The whole reason why we're doing this, I didn't want to do it. I did not want to do this. So, all right. Well, hey, what's the next words, right? Like, subscribe, keep us going. If you want this information, I would love to give it to you. I just need to know what to give you, what to do, how to do it. And the only way we can do this, because we don't do mechanic work anymore, except for that blue Jeep, maybe a couple others, but normally.
We keep saying we're going to close the shop, but there's so many people that love us and that need us to do things, and it feels bad. We feel bad just leaving them out in the cold.
Yeah, so we're probably not going to stop, but I am. I'm not going to do brake jobs and things like that. There's going to be 3 Hemi jobs it looks like coming, not including the Gladiator. I mean, that's 4.
Or
right?
the red Jeep.
And then the red Jeep, that's 5. So I guess I got a few jobs to do this year.
We got full plates. We always do.
Yeah.
And we always try to make it work. And we're doing the best we can every single day. And that's all we could do.
Yeah. So I think that's about it. We're going to do a lot more on the blue Jeep here, this build. And then we're going to do a lot more on the Gladiator as we keep going along, because I'm making all the pieces to that. I just finished the bracket for the the 4-wheel drive and the manual neutral bracket. I just got that finished. We're in the middle of, Liz and I are going to be bending that, forming it, cutting it out. Motor mounts are on the final wave. I think I got those done. We're in the middle of building a radiator, so I made a complete radiator, 2 of them, complete from scratch. We just bought radiators and cut everything up, built everything, put all new stuff, welded them all together. So we're trying to see about getting JT radiators. So that's gonna be tricky. Exhaust is coming up. We're gonna build an exhaust system for the JT, so also inexpensive. We're gonna do that on the cheap, if you could say that. Air cleaner boxes, built 2, one for the 6.4, one for the 5.7, because 6.4 is on the driver's side, 5.7 is on the passenger side. Back to saving money again. Having it on the passenger side saves you money. I think that's it. So we'll touch on all that stuff later. So, all right, here we go. Jeep Speed Shop
Out.
out.